Max, first of all, he has got this driving talent, which are very few people around, which gives him the confidence, but that's what he wants to do. He wants to drive racing cars, whatever it is. One day I get a phone call from Niki Lauda, which was running, Niki at the time was running Jaguar Racing, which was owned by Ford at the time.
In Formula One.
In Formula One, yeah. And he was the CEO, team principal. I didn't know Niki, obviously I knew Niki because he was a childhood hero of mine. Legend, yeah. But I never met the guy before. And he just got my name and said, hey, people said I should speak with you because I'm looking for people for the F1 team. People ask me, on the race weekend, what are you doing on the race weekend? And my answer is, if I have nothing to do on the race weekend, I did a good job because I got the right people, the right team of people together to get the job done.
Welcome to the Behind the Athletes podcast.
Günther, it's a great pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure for me as well.
Günther, thanks for taking the time. It's really exciting to have you. We've exchanged some information on the podcast already, and of course, we will speak a lot about your life. This podcast is about sports and entrepreneurship, and this is what you resemble. We are called Behind the Athletes, and you're literally behind the athletes, both in MotoGP now and in Formula One and all your other previous jobs. But first of all, we are speaking as the Formula One season has ended, and it was a very special one. I think for the first time in more than 10 years, the last race was deciding. So, I have to ask you this. What's your view and what's your take on the last Formula One season with Lando taking away the title and the McLaren performance and all of that?
Yeah, as you said, it was a very exciting season. Very strange because McLaren was the dominating team. They won the manufacturer's title early on in the season, but the drivers, they took it to the end. And for us spectators, nothing better can happen than three drivers being able to fight on the last race. But I would say the nights before the last race at McLaren, nobody slept really well. Because as much as they were leading the championship, they took a big risk in my opinion. But again, I respect Zach and Andrea a lot. They did a fantastic job the last years. Nothing. I'm not here to tell them what is right and what is wrong, but I think they took a big risk and not deciding before to support one of their drivers to win the championship. In the end, as I said, for us it was the best thing. So in the end, it all ended well for McLaren. It ended well for us. So the winner is always right. So it was a fantastic season. But can you imagine? Just think one moment about it. Max Verstappen wins the championship on the last race. That would be a big shocker.
Absolutely. So in your opinion, knowing the dynamics and the pressure in Formula One and for the drivers and for the team owner and for the team CEOs and everyone, I think, listening to us knows the word loss aversion. Yeah. So loss aversion is when you think you have something and I think everyone knows that from sports, whatever you play, if you play tennis, there's many examples when people lead 2-0 and they're all ready to go, and then they're just they're just cramping and how do you what do you think was going on in the heads, especially of Oscar and Lando? That must be such a pressure.
Yeah, I think the guy suffering was Oscar because he was leading the championship coming out of the summer break quite good. And I think by a few races where they played it fair, he lost a little bit of his confidence. And the opposite, in my opinion, happened to Lando. He had nothing to lose. When you have nothing to lose, you're getting a lot more confident because, it cannot get worse because you lost already almost, And then you come into this phase where you can take bigger risks and they work out. And you are calm because there is nothing which can get worse. I think he took an advantage out of that mentally, Lando, and took the championship home. While Oscar was like in this position, I'm leading, I'm getting worried to lose this. And then a few things happened, within the team, in my opinion, when they said we need to be fair and always put everything or try to be sometimes too fair. I mean, you cannot be too fair, I know that, but it's like they overthought things, and maybe that rattled Oscar's cage a little bit, and Lando on the other side, okay, for me, I just can gain, let's take risks, let's do whatever I need to do. And it worked out for him. So, as you say, sportsman, it's up mentally.
Yeah. And what was the role of Max? Did you expect that? I mean, you have known him for a long time, and did you expect that kind of comeback? Because I've seen in many people, when people had so much success and then it's going so wrong. I mean, people were saying, "Oh, concentrate already on the next season," and what must he have told himself to he was down by so many points. What's going on? Do you fight until there's like mathematically no chance, or do you think he already had a point where or people were maybe telling him to, let's focus on next season and maybe give up?
I think for sure people was telling him to do that, but nobody's telling Max anything. I think Max, or not I think, it's proven, Max is one of these talents which come along every 20 years. He's not only very talented at driving, he has got also that level of confidence in himself. Nobody needs to tell him anything. He knows about racing. He's in a position, he says, whatever, I don't need to focus on next year. I can focus on the moment, because next year I will be strong anyway. So it's like, I think, and as you said, what I find astonishing by people like him with this talent, that I want to win every race. I don't care about it. Nobody's telling me how it should be. I know I want to win, and he said that. I always focus on the race, and if you win a lot of races, guess what? You win championships. It's pretty normal, but you need to have this attitude, and he has got this attitude, and to this attitude he has got also this mega talent, which makes having this attitude a lot easier than when you don't have a talent,
That's a very good point, and let me dive a little bit deeper into this, because there's attitude and then there's arrogance, and Formula One is motorsports usually is a very, very high pressure sport. In terms of high performance, you need to have the right amount of, self-confidence, but then you can't overdo it. When you would describe, the best balance of it, how would you describe it? Don't be arrogant, but also don't lose your confidence. What's the best mix? What's your observation there?
You're absolutely right. You need to be confident, but you cannot be arrogant, because arrogant doesn't work anywhere. Or I don't know anything. Or maybe it works for a very short period of time, but not in the long term. It never works, arrogance, but you need to be confident. And I think confidence you get when you know what you're doing. Arrogant you get when you don't know what you're doing, but you think you know, or you want to prove people that you're doing it, So it's a very fine line. And sometimes the first time you meet somebody, you cannot, is it arrogance or is it confidence? But when you know them people, you find out pretty quick what it is, because we all love confidence. But I think most of the people dislike arrogance, but super talents normally, they don't need to be arrogant. They can be confident. It's very difficult, because arrogance also sometimes goes with ignorance, so it doesn't take you far, arrogance. Normally people which are arrogant are not having a lot of career in front of them.
Yeah. One thing I told you, I'm not a Formula One expert, and that same would probably go when we talk about MotoGP. There's usually teams of 2 drivers, and in Formula One there's the 2 drivers. Is it a team sport or is it an individual sport?
It's a very interesting question. I think motorsport at this level, it is a team sport, but the team is not made only of the 2 drivers or riders. The team is made out of the hundreds of people back in the factory in Formula One, and it's 50 people in MotoGP. But I always say the driver or the rider, it's just as a diminishing term, just part of a team. Obviously, they've got the job to be out there to represent the team in front of the world. They're the best paid guys. They need to perform all the time. but therefore they're the best paid guys. I mean, because they are everywhere, so they can make it work for them. But it is a team sport. But then when you go into the individual, I compare these people more like with a tennis player. You're on your own. Once you're in the car on a bike, you're on your own. You've got a team at home, but you are out there to perform on your own. It's not like in a football team, where you've got 11 guys working together. When you're out there on the bike or in the machine, you're on your own. And that's where I compare it to a tennis player, because when he's playing out there on the court, he's on his own. He needs to make his own decisions. Nobody's telling you anything. You live and die by them decisions. So it's a mix-of, but in the end, for me, drivers and riders need to be team players. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Maybe I think that's very, very transparent for most people because they know him. If you would describe the talents of Max Verstappen being out there by himself, what would be the talents that you would call out that he's very exceptional in?
I think his talent, first of all, is the driving. He can drive anything. He knows what the car is doing. And his other talent, in my opinion, he just does the sport. He focuses on driving racing cars. He's so determined to go racing. He's driving a lot of simulator in his free time. Last year or this year, last season or last year, already the next year. You see me, getting ahead of myself here. Yeah. He went to, when he had got time, he went to drive a GT car on the Nürburgring, So that is the passion. It's one of his talents, because sometimes when you get in a sport and you win a lot, I wouldn't say everything, because he has won only 4 World Championship and not 7 like Michael or Lewis, but he wants to be the greatest, he wants to win more. But when you win a lot, you get, okay, what else could I do in life, what I'm interested in? But I think Max, first of all, he has got this driving talent, which are very few people around, which gives him the confidence, but that's what he wants to do. He wants to drive racing cars, whatever it is. And that's a talent in itself, not getting distracted by doing something else.
Could you also say, hard work and, because when we talk about talent, we talk about what you mentioned first. It's the ability to drive fast. It's this. But from what I hear also from what you're saying, it's the diligence and the ability to work hard and also keep working hard when being successful.
Absolutely. I mean, to be successful, I have not seen many people who are successful by not working hard at that level. You need to work hard and keep on doing it. And I think the other talent is he has surrounded himself by people he trusts in business, like his father, Jos, because Jos was a Formula 1 driver himself, so he knows a lot about it. And then he has got Raymond Vermeulen, which I think is doing all his business. And he trusts his people. So he doesn't have to spend time to think about that one. He knows he's in good hands, trusts them, and he lets everyone doing his job where the expertise is, and he focuses on racing. That is what he likes and where he's at his best, and that's what he needs to be doing to be successful, and as a sportsman and as a businessman. But I don't think he's checking. I mean, obviously he will have updates from Raymond Vermeulen, what he's doing business-wise. But he's not like getting up in the morning trying to do some business. He has got his people in place because he's smart enough that he says, "I need my focus on where I'm best."
I've been to races, to Formula 1 races, and also had the privilege to be in a garage, and it really is impressive how everyone stands at a certain spot, and it feels like it's a super well-oiled machine. And everyone is like a specialist in as you described. So a little bit like Max, assembles his team. Is this from your experience? Is this the only way one can really be successful if you really put trust in other people and experts? Because in business, I see that many, people don't go, they don't scale, they don't grow because they try to do everything themselves.
So which garage were you standing? I need to interview you a little bit here.
I was standing in at Flavio's garage in Alpine.
Okay, Alpine, yeah. So,
in Miami this year. So
in Miami, okay.
Yes.
I was there in Miami. I didn't see you, And
Yeah.
I always go and see Flavio. He's a nice guy, Yeah. Yes.
That was the race when the next race Franco Colapinto came in.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
there was a lot of activity there, so for sure.
So they didn't have much time for me for that.
Mick Doohan was around a lot, I'm sure, yeah. So now, answering your question, I think you're absolutely right. If you want to be successful, you need to surround yourself with the best people you can get. That's always my opinion. Micromanagement doesn't take you anywhere. I mean, it's like you need to know what people are doing, but you need to give people also freedom to do a job, because then they do a good job, because they know they are responsible for it, accountable as well, You need to make them accountable, but don't do the job for them, because if I'm going to do the job for somebody, why do I employ them? That's negative in my opinion. Obviously, I always try to get the best, the most intelligent people I can find around me, and that I think is the task of a good leader, to find people with the best talent, which help to grow the team, the sport, the company. But it's everywhere the same. It's very similar in a sports team. You need to have the best people and let them do their job. Don't do their job, because if you are better than them in doing their particular job, you should be doing that job and not yours, because you as a leader. I always said it like this. People ask me on the race weekend, what are you doing on the race weekend? And my answer is, if I have nothing to do on the race weekend, I did a good job, because I got the right people, the right team of people together to get the job done. Obviously, I'm there if they need me, but I don't have an operational job now. My operational job is to get a team together, manage them, obviously, and be there for them if they need me, but do not go and do their job. If I'm doing the race engineer's job, obviously I haven't got a good race engineer, because if I'm the best race engineer around, that wouldn't be good to start off with, but then why I'm not a race engineer then?
Yeah.
Why I'm the team principal?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Whenever I work with companies, I usually say the best CEOs are the ones that reach out not very much, because they know what they are doing and just really reach out when they need me and not all the time asking for do I go left or right. I can imagine that very much with hiring your staff, but what about getting the right drivers? How is that similar or different in terms of hiring? When you had to hire, you started at Haas with Grosjean and Magnussen, right?
No, with Gutierrez. The first year it was Esteban Gutierrez, and the second year it was Magnussen,
Yeah. Did you do that job, or was there someone who did it? Or
No. That is what you need to do. But I explain you that one in Formula One. When you are a team, like in the midfield, or a new team, you take the driver, the best driver you can get, because not every driver wants to join you. The best drivers, they tend to go to the best teams. And secondly, also, I wouldn't have had the money to pay a big driver. But not only, for example, let's talk about Lewis Hamilton. If I would go to Lewis Hamilton and say, you want to drive for Haas, I know the answer. It's not it's not, it's no, it's just no. But also, I wouldn't have the money to pay for Lewis. So it's when you're in the midfield, you have a pool of drivers you can pick and you try to get, and obviously in there you try to get the best driver for the least amount of money. So it's a little bit of a. But when we started with Haas, Romain was struggling where he was at Renault. It was at the time, I think, was it Lotus? Lotus, I think it was called at the time. He was struggling there. I knew that he wasn't sure what he's doing next year. So obviously you focus on him, because he wants to stay in F1 and he will accept to drive for our team for a certain amount of money. If I would have gone with a new team to any of the big guys, they would have just told me no. It's. And normally you have to pick, for 2 seats, you've got a pick of 5 or 6 drivers, not more. You really want, And then you just try to find, maybe half of them don't want to come, and maybe half of them you're negotiating money, and you just try to do your best job as the team principal from the team.
And when you have you have your last set of 3 or 4 drivers, what is the characteristic you look in most from the personality perspective?
Do they want to be at the team? Are they not just coming because they cannot get another ride? They need to, because every team has got, like every company, a mission to fulfill. And sometimes, when you're in the midfield or a new team, the mission is not winning the world championship. The mission is to grow the team, to make it better, to make it bigger, to attract other people. And that's what I'm looking. Is this person just here because he couldn't get another ride and is just like trying to fill a gap year instead of sitting at home waiting for the next ride? Is he actually motivated to be with the team? That's what you're looking for. That's what I always look for.
And Günther, how was that for you? You were you co-founded the Haas F1 team. Is that right? Yes.
I had the idea, but I didn't put any money into it. I didn't
Gene
own
Haas
any part
put the
of
money,
it.
right?
Yeah, exactly. I had the idea, and he had the money.
How much money? So if I have the money tomorrow to found a Formula One team, how much money do I need to found a team?
I mean, the times have changed. The times have changed now. When I started Haas, the monies were a lot less because the teams had a lot less value. Now, only to get a license, it's $500 million. You need to put down, and then you need to found a team. At the time, I don't want to give you the exact number, but it's between 50 and 100 million to start off with. We spent, but you cannot compare the times. How was it 2014 when we got the license? Yeah, 14, 11 years
2016,
ago.
Yeah.
To race, yeah. We got the license 2014 and started to race 16. So it was different times. It's a complete different ballgame. I think Cadillac is spending well north of $1 billion.
Oh yeah, that's definitely also on my list for in a minute. But was it the times when teams were already starting to be profitable, or was it you having kind of a budget and you said like, Gene, I need X amount of money every year to make this work?
Correct. The first year, the business plan was he needed to subsidize the team.
Yeah.
But for Gene Haas, it was he owns Haas Automation, which is a machine tool company, and that was the plan to do us as a marketing tool for that company, like Red Bull started. They obviously put money into it, but Red Bull used it to market their brand, to market the energy drink. So there was that behind. For him, it was not like, oh, I'm a private person which wants to spend hundreds of millions. No, actually, I've got a marketing plan. Figured out, and instead of sponsoring another team, I built my own team.
And you built it in a quite smart way, right? Because you partnered for the chassis and the engine, and not try to. I mean, the engine is usually a partnership, but the rest. How did you come up? Maybe you can tell us a little bit, because I think it's such I don't have the opportunity much to speak to someone who founded and had the idea of a Formula One team. So to make it very short, you actually started out as a mechanic when you were 21 or 22, right, in motorsports. And very shortly, how did you develop to someone who finds Gene Haas to found a Formula One team?
You said something before. You did it a smart way. I don't know if it was smart, but it worked, No, how I started out, I always liked racing cars, and my story started as a mechanic, and then just moved on from
in rallying,
yeah. And I was very happy in rallying. I was technical director at M Sport. We were having the Ford works team, with Colin McRae, Carlos Sainz, and one day I get a phone call from Niki Lauda, which was running. Niki at the time was running Jaguar Racing, which was owned by Ford at the time.
Formula One.
Formula One, yeah. And he was the CEO, team principal. I didn't know Niki. Obviously, I knew Niki because he was a childhood hero of mine. Legend, yeah. But I never met the guy before. And he just got my name and said, hey, people said I should speak with you because I'm looking for people for the F1 team. And I met up with Niki in Austria, in Vienna. And we got on, and he offered me a job. It's very weird. I didn't apply for a job. I mean, I was happy where I was, and that is how I started in F1. And then I was in F1, and then me and Niki were let go by Jaguar after a year. I then worked 1 year in DTM. And then when Red Bull started, Mr. Mateschitz started, both actually Jaguar at the time, I knew Mr. Mateschitz from 2000, where we did a rally program with Red Bull in Austria.
Okay.
And I know Mr. Mateschitz from that time, and he called me up and said, hey, I'm going to buy this team. And I always was in contact with Mr. Mateschitz at the time, because he was trying to buy some other teams before. And he called me up, and I started there with Red Bull, and was with Red Bull 1.5 years. And then at Red Bull, it got very crowded. A lot of people came, and Mr. Mateschitz asked me if I wanted to go to the United States, and where I still live, I'm now in the United States, in North Carolina, to start up the NASCAR team for him. And I came over, did that one, and then left Red Bull after, I think, 1.5 years. And then I stayed here in the States because I liked it, and I opened my own company. I've got a composite company, which we started with 5 people. Now we started the company, a business, I say we, because it's a business partner on me, not on my own. My business partner does the day-to-day job now since the last 15 years, because if you run an F1 team, you cannot run a composite company on the side, We've
How
got
big is the company in terms of employees, revenue? 300
people. We have got 300 people now. It's growing, and now it's a lot of aerospace and defense, not racing cars. It's a small part of the company now.
Okay.
So it's that company grew a lot, and while I was setting that one up, I was still. I love motorsport there where I come from. That's what I did all my life, and somehow I got involved in trying to rescue US F1, which was a team which tried to start in 2010, and they were local, but they didn't make it. And the investor to that team, a guy called Chad Hurley, one of the founders of YouTube, was the investor. He called me up. I didn't know the guy, and asked me about if I can help him because if you don't go to the first race, you lose your license, and he loses his investment, which in the end he did, because I couldn't. But I had an idea how we could do it, which didn't work out in the end because somebody else came up with the money. So, but while doing that, I came up with the idea, it would be cool to start an F1 team in the United States, so I started
the
to write.
ideas one has.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, but I get these ideas. And I just started to write up a business plan. And my business plan was based on, there was a few new teams, and they were all not so safe, not struggling. So I said, for sure, I will not have more money. And for sure, I'm not smarter than these people. So I need to find a different way to do it, because just doing more of the same doesn't give you success. For me, that is not something you can say, I just do more, get more money, and then have success. No. I said, I need a different approach. And I know a lot of people in racing. And while I was trying to rescue this US F1 team, I was in Italy, and I went to see Stefano Domenicali. At the time, he's now the CEO of Formula One. And at the time, he was the team principal at Ferrari and a very good friend of mine. And we talked, and I came up with the idea, there was, if they couldn't get the new team starting, the big teams would give customer cars to smaller teams. And I said, if that happens, can I get one of the customer cars and I find the money to run the car? I said, yeah, you can have it. And there where my idea was born. So my idea was, and the customer cars, again, never happened. That idea never came true, that thing. Okay. But what I learned was like, okay, if you cannot get customer cars, how can I use a big manufacturer help me to set a team up without spending hundreds of millions, just trying to spend 100 million, between the plural of hundreds and 100 is a big difference,
Yeah.
And I spoke with Stefan and said, yeah, if you want to do that, that's fine, because I knew the regulation very well in F1, what is allowed and not, because you need to make your own chassis, but you can buy the suspension and everything from another team, which saves you a lot of money and a lot of time. And my business plan was based on that one. And I went around in the United States speaking with wealthy individuals, and I found Mr. Haas. Sounds all very simple, huh?
Sounds all very simple. Niki Lauda calls you up. Chad Hurley, the founder of YouTube, calls you up. And there's one aspect I would like to know. You are nowadays, and we will speak about Netflix and all of that, of course, but you are very popular, yeah, and you have a personal brand, and you fill that very naturally with fun, and it's very, very likable. Yeah. But back then, you seem to have a name already. Was that something that just happened, that people would know you, or did you always take a little bit of care that people always also knew you, or did you spend a lot of time in networking because it just happened?
No, I would say a lot of people knew me, and the people which know me and you can ask people since a long time, I'm not a big networker. I'm not sitting on the phone every day speaking with people. That's not me. But they know if I say something, I normally do it. You know, it's people. When I spoke with Stefan, I said, Günther, if you are trying to do it, I know that will you succeed? I don't know, but I'm sure you try to do your best. And if it works, it will be okay. It will be good, you know. And I always had a little bit that I think people have a lot of trust in me because of what I did in my life, you know. I said, if I do something, I do it, you know. But it's also the small things. If I say, I call you tomorrow, I call you tomorrow. I'm not just saying it, you know, because if I don't want to call you tomorrow, I'm not saying it to you.
You say no.
That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's fine, you know, but and you get a little bit of reputation that people can trust you, you know. And I think having been in motorsport a long time and knowing all these people, and I would say in Formula One, I had one big advantage, which was Niki Lauda. Because if you get into Formula One, normally it takes you years that people recognize you, that they you build up a profile. When you come with Niki Lauda, you didn't. If he introduces you, people believe that you are a good guy, you know, because Niki had that reputation. Niki, when he said something, he did something, you know. So I got that advantage in Formula One. But already before in rallying, I was in rallying 20 years, and I always was like, okay, if Günther puts his head to it, it will happen.
Yeah. So Günther put his head to it because you found Gene Haas. You just say it kind of casually. I walked around, I tried to find people. So you must have had a good network, because it's not easy for everyone to find people who, you know, how did you convince, I mean, Gene Haas specifically? Did you already have the idea by saying like, hey, I understood on the one hand, you didn't say I need 5 times the 100 millions. No, I need only 1/3 of the 100. So that was already a good point. But did you give him kind of the idea, or did you specifically look then for people and basically came with a specific pitch instead of just going, I want your money?
No, obviously, I had a business plan. It was only 7 pages long, but it was, yeah, it doesn't need a lot, you know. I mean, it's more like, and Gene Haas spoke with me 1.5 years before deciding to do it, because I think what he was doing, he was figuring out if I actually can do what I tell him I can do. You know, I think that was his biggest fear, that I cannot do, because I didn't know him before. I just got introduced to him by someone else. I didn't know him, so he was trying to figure out. But he could see, because if we went to see 2 or 3 races together before he committed, and I walk into the paddock, and a lot of people know me, you know, and they come to you, and you see like, why this guy knows everyone. You know, I can go to Bernie Ecclestone, I can go to Jean Todt, the president of the FIA. You know, I always get here, and that gives him confidence, you know. And obviously the plan, I explained him the plan, how I wanted to do it with Ferrari. That actually de-risked the project a lot. Because if you have got somebody, and obviously we went to Ferrari, spoke with them, they committed to it, that they will help us, that taking the risk out of something like a Formula One team. But I had to work hard for him. But my pitch to him was always, if you don't want to do it, this is not, I want to do this, but this is not the only thing I do. I've got my own company. I'm not pitching it to you to get a job. I'm pitching it to you because I think it's a good idea. You know, and obviously I want to run the team, because if I have the idea, I think I should run the team, because nobody else can do it. You know, with my plan, a lot of people can run an F1 team, not only me. But with the plan I had at the time, because nobody did it like we did it. Because when we came onto the scene, people were like, how did they do this one? And then I just said, it's in the regulation, you can do this, you know. So for me, sometimes you just need to look different angle, try to find a different angle to do something, you know. Because if you just do more of the same, it's just difficult to do, because there's a lot of very smart people out there doing things. Never underestimate anyone.
Yeah. So you convinced Gene Haas to do this. You guys got the license, and then you said 50 to 100 million to start off. But then it was the times where Formula One was not as profitable. So did Haas F1 make profit at some point, or was it a investment in marketing for the?
It was an investment. I don't know the last years. I think the plan was to make money the last years, and obviously the investment now paid off because the teams are worth now billions. The market of F1 teams. I mean, Mercedes was valued at
6 billion.
6 billion. Yeah, I mean, obviously Haas is not Mercedes, but it's still an F1 team, and the most valuable thing is actually the license.
Yeah. And is it a 100% Gene Haas team, or was it like because in Mercedes, as you just mentioned, Toto has like a third of the shares, right? Did you have shares there, or was you? Oh, unfortunately,
unfortunately not.
I would have expected as you as an entrepreneur, of course.
But at the time, it was different times. I mean, I didn't have the, and you need to be fair. I mean, I didn't have the money to put in, and I mean, I don't blame anybody. It's one of these things. At the time, I didn't have the money to put in, and I didn't want the risk because the teams were not making money. So because at the times it was more of a liability than a profitability.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk us a little bit through how if you? I mean, I think everyone understands. If I run an ice cream shop, what are the cost factors? It's the sugar and and producing the ice cream, and maybe the rent for the store. But what are maybe just the easy buckets for a Formula One team? We are a sports business podcast, so. What are the main cost factors? What's the percentage of the budget for the drivers? Maybe, where do you get your money from?
Let's start with the good things. Where you get the money from? A small team like Haas, the main money comes from FOM, which pays you that you take part in the championship. Which is it's a good chunk of money. But the first years you do not get it at the time. For 2 years,
okay.
no. As a new team, you didn't get straight away the money. You needed to participate, and then you got the money, half of it the second year and the full amount the third year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah, exactly. So that needed to be financed. The biggest buckets are, first of all, personnel. And we can leave the drivers outside because obviously they are higher paid. But as I said before, in a small team, the drivers are it's not big money. It's good money, but it's not big money. But the payroll.
How much? I mean, for Lewis, they earn like 50 million. Lewis Hamilton, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it goes everything from 1 million to 50 million in Formula One.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And the big buckets are payroll, development of the car, spare parts, and participation at the races, which included travel and all that stuff. These are your 4 biggest buckets there. And to say they're all roughly the same, maybe the biggest one is the development, because when we got in, there was no budget cap. Now, since 2021, there is a budget cap in Formula One, because that budget, payroll and development, because obviously if you do development, you need people, then the payroll goes up. It's pretty logic.
Sure.
They were open up, and the big teams, they spent a lot of money. At the time when we started with Haas, our budget was about a quarter of the big teams. Because and now it's the same. Everybody's got the same budget, except again, the drivers are outside the budget cap. Some of the elements are outside the budget cap. Drivers, travel is outside the budget cap.
Yeah.
The 3 highest paid people are outside the budget cap, from the team.
What can you earn as a super expert in a Formula One team? And roughly, is that like the super engineer of the chassis, or who is like the most, as similar to a company where you have the SVP XY who is earning more than someone else, maybe?
Normally, and that again, since the budget cap, it has calmed down a lot. There is a few people which are highly paid. Normally the CEO and team principal, but it depends. Again, it's like with the drivers. It's a range. It's not like in no sport you have got everybody's the same, but
Sure.
it goes from 500,000 to 10 million. But also the technical guys in the old days, they were paid a lot more than they are now. Comparison. Now, I think the only one really highly paid is now Adrian Newey, which just went to Aston Martin. But all the other ones, they are well paid, but it's not like 10, 15 million contracts anymore. They are not out there anymore.
Okay. Interesting. So would you say from a CEO perspective of Formula One team, the whole spending cap system that was introduced is working really well?
It's the best thing ever happened to Formula One. That made Formula One what it is now. A sport where McLaren without the budget cap could not be world champion, because could not be, because then Ferrari, Mercedes, they would have just put hundreds of millions in this year to beat them, but they couldn't because they were on the budget cap. Without that wouldn't have happened. Also, the value of the teams, this $1 billion values, it's down to the budget cap, nothing else. Because
they're
now
profitable.
They're profitable, and when you buy one, you know what you get into. Before in Formula One, you bought an F1 team, and if you are a CEO of a company and you tell your board, we are a car manufacturer, I'm saying, you say to your board, I plan to go into Formula One, and the board asks you, how much are you planning to spend? I don't know yet. It could be 200 million, but it could be 500 million. You know what the board tells you? Buddy, you're not going to do that, So,
unless your board is Ferrari. Unless your board is Ferrari.
Exactly, yeah. But now you can go in there and say, hey, these are the things. The budget cap is this. We need to invest this, and the variable is this. But we can decide, because if you want a driver which costs you 5 million, you can buy that one. If you want the best of the best, because you can market that person better, the board can decide to invest in it, But it's not like, I don't know how much we're going to spend. It depends how fast the other ones are. And now it's like you have got a fixed sum you spend.
How has the importance of the driver changed? Because I remember from Schumacher times that back then, and you can correct me because you are the expert, Günther, but it was back then that sometimes the cars were so dominant, I felt like maybe not only Schumacher, but also someone else would have won the championship because the car was so dominant. Now with the spending cap, and as you just said, McLaren now coming up and everything, is the importance of the driver increasing actually because the margins are coming more together, or is it still the driver is
the driver? Red Bull couldn't have done what they did this year without Max Verstappen. They would not have won 8 races with another driver. Max is a super talent. But I always explain it like this. The best driver in the worst car, and the worst car is not really bad anymore now, cannot win a race. The worst driver, and there is no really bad drivers in the moment in F1, they're all pretty good. The worst driver can win races with the best car. Maybe not the championship, but he can win races, So that explains you how much the driver counts. The car, it's still the dominant part of it in Formula One.
Interesting. And looking at the Formula One now, as you just mentioned already, Cadillac is coming in, and Audi, right?
Yeah, Audi. They bought a team, while Cadillac has got a new license. It's a complete
Audi bought
new
the
team.
Yes, right?
Yes, Stake Sauber. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you say there's the investment of $1 billion, and is this now a corporate company like in the old times that just wants to have a good marketing, or is this now a investment where they say we pay 1 billion now and we can be 5 or 6 billion? What's the rationale now for starting a new Formula One team?
I think the rationale with Cadillac is like, I think it's a combination, a complete new team, because they have to invest a lot of money, and they will not be profitable for a long time, and the success will not come immediately. It's a long-term investment, but I think the main reason behind it, it's more like marketing. While Audi was, in my opinion, they bought the team Sauber at the right time. I mean, I don't know the official number of it, but they paid for the team 2-3 years ago about 300 million, And now the team already is worth 2 billion. Obviously, what Audi does, they invest a lot because they're going to make their new own engine, and they invested billions in a factory to make an F1 engine. So they need a lot of investment. But I think with Audi, it could be at least a break even, if not a profitable thing for the future. Obviously a long-term investment because you need to sell the team. There will be, because if you make your own engine, that costs you, because the technology is so high. But again, Audi, Vorsprung durch Technik, they will use that one for their marketing, So
Of course,
I think Audi did a very smart thing. They came in at the right time and are full into it, The first year was not very successful when they took Sauber over, but I think they are on a good trajectory. That I read somewhere that they said we want to be a world champion contender in 2030. I mean, in sports, talking about 5 years is like, I'm going to be a world champion in 2030, but I think they're realistic about it.
They're realistic about it. You said earlier that the spending cap is what made the Formula One what it is now. And from a sports business perspective, it's really, really amazing to see this global brand of Formula One. But many people also discuss the role of the Netflix documentary, and you became iconic for the documentary. And it also didn't work so well in other industries. You're also a big tennis fan, and I watched also the Netflix tennis docu. But of course, there was Yannick missing, there was Carlos missing, there was some reasons why it actually got discontinued. Take us with you for a little bit. Like, how did it all get started with the documentary, and how do you see the impact of this? Is it so impactful, or is it maybe overvalued also by the outsiders who always say like Formula One is only so big because of the Netflix docu?
No, it's as everything. It's a combination, and how it started, it was very weird. I remember the meeting. The big change in F1 was Liberty Media bought the sport. Liberty Media, big investment company in the States, and obviously they bought the sport because they knew what they can do with it. Because where F1 was not good was with the social media before. I think Bernie Ecclestone did a fantastic job, but he never embraced social media and the modern ways of communicating. Liberty Media comes in, buys it. Obviously, they're not going to spend billions of dollars to buy something and not growing it. It's an investment company, why they are doing it. It's a good reason why. So they brought a lot of good people in, and one of the guys, Sean Bratches, came up with the idea to do a sports docu. And in the beginning, in the first meeting we had, a lot of the team said, no, that doesn't work. Everybody wanted to do their own docu. And actually, McLaren at the time, they had their own docu. It was bad. Wow. Unwatchable. It was bad, But the first year, Mercedes and Ferrari didn't take part in the Drive to Survive.
I know.
Yeah. The second year, they couldn't wait to be part of it, by the way, So how things change over 1 year. But anyway, it's just started with this idea, let's do this. And obviously the company doing it box to box did a fantastic job. And I think what Formula One had, there is so much going on behind, because if you look out there's a lot of good motor racing going on in the world, but very few sports have got what Formula One have got. There's hundreds of people working in it, a lot of characters in it, a lot of technology, a lot of politics, a lot of bullshit, like in every sport, and they brought that to the people, and the people loved it. And then what I would say also helped F1 was the pandemic in 2020. That's the only good thing coming out of the pandemic, I think, because otherwise it was very bad for all of us, and I don't want it back, but we were all sitting at home, everybody watched everything, we all watched Tiger King. You remember Tiger King?
Of course, yeah.
Exactly. Drive to Survive, and everybody watched it because there was nothing new, because nobody could produce anything. And then Formula One did a very good job in coming back as the first global sport to go live again in June of 2020, which was fantastic to be part of that group of people making that happen, the team principal, FOM, and FIA. All of a sudden, there is something new on TV. There is something with a new result which we don't know. A lot of people go and watch it. They all watch Netflix, and out of that, the complete demographic changed. Young people and female are watching Formula One now.
Yeah.
And that, I think, it was very well executed, but also right time, right place, like a lot of times in life.
But were you not afraid at the moment? Because whenever I talk to people for my podcast, that wasn't the case with you, but most of the time I have some areas where they don't want to cover, and I know that usually just because they're afraid how it works out. You showed the inner of your, you showed discussions with your drivers, with your entire team, and it's all before and behind closed doors. What gave you the confidence to just show it and also not show it in a way that it feels like, oh, okay, Günther prepared the 5-minute speech here and now we go to the next scene, but that it was so authentic. Is this just you, or was it that you said, okay, if I do it right in a way that I show it and then good things will come out? Or was there never the thought of, okay, this is a risk also?
It's very strange because, first of all, I didn't think that they would show so much about us, because normally in Formula One, only the big teams are broadcasted, and I didn't care. I couldn't care less, about it, and because I didn't know what this was going to do. The only moment where I got a little bit, and I didn't watch Drive to Survive, never watched it.
Okay.
I don't want to watch it for that reason, because I don't want to change. Because if you watch yourself and you don't like it, what are you doing next? You try to be an actor, and I'm not an actor. So, but when it came out, there was, before it came out officially, there was a screening to the team principals. I didn't go to that one because I flew in from the States, and I got into that meeting and everybody talked about it. And there were a lot of questions about how this will be received by the audience. And obviously, I didn't see what was there. But when they told me what they put in there, I knew, because I was there when they filmed it. I was like, wow. When you get this, what the hell? But it was too late. It was too late anyway. So you better say, hey, whatever comes out, maybe people hate it, maybe people like it, but I cannot change it. I live with it. But I was not aware because, you're asked to watch it, but I had my press officer, my watching it for me, and I said, if you are okay, because he's actually the head of communication, not the press officer. That's a little bit diminishing his role. He was the head of communication, and I trust the guy. And I said, you watch it if you think it's all right, because if I watch it, I take everything out. I know that, because I will not like it, just to your point before. So he watched it, and he took some of the, I think he took some of the stuff out because it was a little bit too on the edge, So, yeah. So you haven't seen the best yet of me, So that's still a bit natural.
Let's see how this podcast goes.
And that is how it went. And once the first season was out and the people loved it, I just kept on doing what I was doing. But I didn't do anything scripted, Obviously, you make the sit-down interviews, but that was not scripted. I didn't know the questions before. And what I had to do was these things in the summertime, when you enjoy yourself. But I always enjoyed them because I got on very well with the people which were doing the filming. And I always did things I wanted to do anyway.
Yeah. Interesting. I didn't know you have never watched it. So that's really funny, because I think tens of millions of people have watched it.
I didn't.
No. That's really funny. Okay. But to this one point, because Günther, you're such an outspoken person, and you've done so much for the sport. And you said earlier, Bernie did so many things right, but didn't understand the importance of social media. And I know you are just turned 25, so you're the perfect generation of social media, right? But how do you, at your, you grew up without it, and now you embrace it so much. How do you look at it? How I think you understand the importance, but it can also be a nightmare, right? So how do you use all these channels and social media?
I don't use many, but as you say, it can be a nightmare, and I don't overthink it. For me, it's not my life. I do what I do, and my social media account, I actually neglected a little bit since summer because I had some issues, But it's one of these things. I don't see it as this defines me. No, this needs to be fun. If it isn't fun, I don't do it. It's not like I'm not trying to actively put stuff in there to get more views or something. If something happens, I post it, and otherwise not. But I'm not against it. I'm not for it. It's part of the generation of people. It's this generation, and you don't need to be always at the forefront of it, but you cannot ignore it. That's always my thing. And obviously, I've got a 16-year-old daughter. So if as soon as I do something stupid on social media, guess what? I hear it the day it hits the net. So
does she think sometimes? Of course,
I'm stupid. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
because
good. That's good.
Yeah,
it's normal.
it's normal. Yeah, it's and I can live with it. And but and what I always say, you need to be aware with social media that not everyone will like it. If you don't like to be critiqued, do nothing. Because people, you cannot demand that people just like you. And I've no problem being, I'm very divisive, for people. People like me, people hate me. But I'm okay with that. Because I always say, if you don't like it, just don't watch it. I mean, do me a favor. But and the biggest example is, if you buy a book and after 10 pages you don't like it, you're not reading the whole book and then say it was shit, basically. No, you stop after 10 pages. It's the same with if you don't like something on TV, like Drive to Survive. Just switch it off. It's very easy to do. You don't have to watch somebody to critique him. If you don't like it, leave the person alone and move on.
That's really funny, Günther, because I think there are many, many millions of people who would say nowadays, if I started this book, it's so shitty, but I'm so conditioned to pull through that I will read it through. I have some people in my personal friendship that I would say that. So you would never.
But
do
I
that,
couldn't focus if I'm convinced the book is bad. Why would I read it? I don't want to read it. I want to read a good book, so I go and get another one.
Speaking about something good to you, quickly, that really intrigues me, because Formula One is a global circus, and it's very, very difficult, probably, for the family. And you always spoke a little bit about your support network. How do you manage the year with your wife? And your daughter is more American probably than Italian, right?
Yeah.
How did that all work out? How do you fly usually? Did you fly usually back during the between the races, and how?
Yeah. No, I try to spend as much time at home, and what I do, I think I'm somehow. I mean, I'm not lucky. It's one of the things. When I met my wife, I'm married now more than 30 years. I was already, thank you. I was doing already, I was traveling a lot. So it wasn't something which was new to her. It just, always was there. And what I always try, since, I'm in a management position, I take them 4 or 5 times with me to races. That as well helps a lot. But it is not easy, and it hasn't got any easier since I'm not running a team anymore, because I still travel a lot. And it's not, my daughter, obviously, she mentioned it frequently, that I was never at home while she was growing up, or while she's growing up. But, is there a perfect world? Maybe not. And we just need to find compromises. And I would say it wasn't always easy, but, you cannot have an easy life, and it's everything comes at a price. But in the end, you try to make it work, and that's what I try to do. But for example, when I'm at home, I'm at home. I'm not going anywhere. I don't have a social network or anything. I mean, you don't have a social network, but I'm not the guy which goes to dinners or parties and stuff. No, I stay at home, and I'm at home as much as I can.
So, how does your life look right now? And with the new things coming up, we talk about it in a second. But you have been active on German television very much for RTL as the RTL expert. I can still call you RTL expert. I think the contract for next season is not with Sky and RTL is not 100% negotiated, but I think everyone is, and especially the Germans wanted to happen. And I see you having so much fun. There are so many funny reels where they ask you stuff, and it really seems that you're enjoying so much the time in front of the camera now, being an expert. How is that for you? Because I can imagine it's also hard now looking from the outside in, but it seems like you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I'm having a lot of fun because actually I would say I'm very lucky because if I don't like to do something, I don't do it. I like to do it. And with RTL, to be honest, to work with Florian König and Kai Abel, I mean, they are the best of the best. I mean, and going in there, me as a newcomer, it's pretty cool, I mean, these are two legends, in broadcasting F1, and it's just like going to work with Niki Lauda. And actually, Niki was doing what I do now before, with Florian, so it is one of these things. How lucky can you get, and it comes easy. And as you say, I have fun. I don't overthink it. I obviously know that I know what I'm saying, but it's still, and RTL as a production, they are very well organized. They are very good what they're doing. So I don't have to worry about anything than my role, which is the most important thing. Again, they've got all the specialists there, and they want me because I worked in Formula One so long, and it works, and I'm having fun, so I'm enjoying it, honestly.
So how do you how do you live right now? And maybe you can tell us a little bit about the MotoGP team owner role and how that came along. I read some articles about it, but let's tell us a little bit about that and what's coming up there.
Yeah,
we are not talking about drivers; we're talking about riders.
Riders, yeah, you said it wrong, and I'm the same. And when you go into MotoGP and you say drivers, they look at you. It's not drivers, it's riders.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyway, no, I'm doing TV and I'm doing speaking for companies. In the moment, I've got my company, Fiberworks Composites. But again, it was one of these things. I always loved MotoGP, and last year I went actually with my business partner, my composite company, and said, let's go for the weekend to watch the MotoGP race in Austin, in Texas. And we went there, and I came away from there and was like, that would be pretty cool to get involved in MotoGP, And I started to call the people up. Dorna, the Espeleta family, asked them how to get a new license. They told me, you cannot get a new license, Günther. Yeah, but we can try. Yeah, exactly.
Is that okay? Yeah, of course.
There is 11 teams. So I said, but if you want to buy a team, you need to try to do that one. And we would welcome you here, So I started working on that one. Obviously, work with some people trying to find the money with a company called Icon, which I got to know over the time, an investment company, And we got the money together, and I found the team. And we bought the team, I think it was September this year, roughly. And here we go, and we take the team over on the 1st of January, only 3 weeks out now. And it's one of the things, a new challenge for me, something new. I'm by no means an expert in MotoGP, but I think I know a lot in racing. And maybe to mention as well, MotoGP has been bought by Liberty Media, the same company which owns Formula One now. So obviously I know all the people there. And it's just a continuation of going racing for me.
But you will act as a CEO or
CEO as a chairman, not as a team principal.
Okay.
I can because I cannot attend all the races because I've got some other projects as we just spoke before.
Yeah.
And I want to do a little bit of, I'm getting old now, so I need a little bit
You're
of
not
distraction.
getting old. No.
Yeah.
You're not getting old.
I am old, actually, yeah.
So, we said 25, we said earlier. So on the MotoGP, let me dive a little bit deeper, because is this like the fascination for racing that drives you, or is it also the entrepreneur that sees maybe MotoGP is following a similar development to Formula One, and this time you're doing it with shares and not at the Haas period without being a shareholder?
It's a combination. I think it's a combination. I like racing, but I also know you can do business, and it's like obviously I want to grow the value of the team. Like if you invest in any company, that is what you want to do. I mean, I don't know many people which have a company which don't want to make it bigger and better. I also find it always something nice to do, because when you have a company, the most important part is the people, but you need to look after them because you need to give them a future. It's not only for me, it's also for society. You create workplaces, you grow something, and you hopefully you make the world a better place. That is one of the things as well as an entrepreneur you always have to think about it. So it's a combination, getting my passion for motorsport, my experience in motorsport with an investment, the combination of it. I hope I enjoy to making something worth more money.
Yeah, and in terms of numbers, how much does we talked about Formula One's team being in the billions now, MotoGP?
I wish it was in the billions. I hope it's in the billions in the next 10 years, but I don't think so. No.
I read a number. It's 25 million the valuation for the Tech3, or is that too low?
It's around there.
Okay.
It's around there. Obviously, the sport will be growing. Most of the sports are growing in the moment, because people want to see live sports. It's a big industry. It's a big business, as you well know. So I hope it will grow. But it's one of these things. You need to be there at the starting point, and you need to put a lot of effort in to make it better. And that is what I want to do. And the expertise I've got, I think I can help it.
That's a very interesting question that comes here to my mind, you mentioning this. You said earlier Corona was one of the worst things that ever happened to us, which I totally agree with. Then you worked in sports where there's a lot of emotions and fun, but also pressure. And you just say you believe that sports will be important and live sports, and we see that with all the big streaming companies buying up rights and everything. Thinking about technology, and we already after COVID, we're in the Zoom world and doing virtual calls and everything, and probably AI will also make everyone more productive, but also will make us a little bit more lonely maybe. Is sports maybe, if you look at the next 100 years, maybe the one thing that actually we believe already it's very big, but it will be so much bigger because people will have more free time, will spend more time in sports, but also when artificial intelligence can copy everything, the story about Günther Steiner and Max Verstappen cannot be copied because it's very real. So the importance of the real things actually becomes much more important, and sport is probably the prime channel to live that, right?
Absolutely. And you're right, because it's competition, and you could create competition with AI, but you cannot, because it's not real. It's the humans, and I think, you can say you cannot make movies, you need the characters. But movies are already easier to do in AI than sports, because sport is a competition. You need an athlete which is good, which is fit, and I think that there is so much, as you said it before, the growth in the streamers are picking up a lot of sports broadcasting now, because there's a lot of investment going into it, because I think it's one of the things we cannot change artificially. It always needs to be, as you call it, real. You can change it artificially, but nobody wants to see it artificially changed, because in the end, we always want to relate to people, and technology is helping us a lot to do things better, but they cannot replace people. It cannot, the person, I think the people, because we are so different in each other and have so different talents, you can create it on AI, but that's not cool. You need somebody behind that, a person. And I think that, for us, as you rightly said, sports is becoming more valuable for the future, because all the other stuff, technology can advance. But sports, they can advance how it is broadcasted, how it is organized, but not actually the competition.
Yeah, perfect. Günther, we've talked about so many things, so a couple of quick fire questions to the end, to have your view. When you think about Formula One, which would be, in your opinion, the three? I don't ask you for the one because that's unfair, but what are the three names that could be the next Hamilton or Verstappen out there? If you don't have 3, just give me 2. That's fine as well.
Behrman, Hajar, and Bortoletto.
Behrman is actually driving for Haas now, right?
Yeah.
So, outside of motorsport, what's your favorite sport? If you're in the most exciting sport, what else can you like?
Ice hockey.
Ice hockey, okay. Your most favorite athlete right now in the world, outside of motorsports?
I would say Yannick Sinner because he's a countryman of mine,
Just because he's a countryman, or if you think about it,
because
anything
he's
else
good.
you admire?
Because he's just good, Yeah. So
he's a machine. Maybe that he's like a car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's just good,
And then about pressure, Günther, because Formula One is also motorsports. Is also, if something happens, the crash can be very hard. And how was that pressure for you managing a team where at the end there's a lot of security, but you also had a very big crash with Grosjean at one time? How do you manage pressure? Because to hear it from someone from you, because if I have pressure, the podcast doesn't work, doesn't matter, right? There's many things you can say. It's not a drama. I don't graduate from school. It's okay, but there's a certain life and death component to your job. How do you handle that?
It is very similar, as you said, because you don't worry about it. You say, if I worry about it, I mean, motorsport has become a lot safer than it was, but it's not safe. It's not 100% safe. It always can something happen, but don't think about it. If you worry about that, you cannot do the job. You need to be grown up enough that if something happens, you know you can deal with it. You are not going to panic. And I know that. If something happens like with Grosjean, we didn't panic. I say we as a team didn't panic. We all knew this can happen. And you just live in that moment and say, hopefully it goes right. We were very lucky. I mean, not only lucky, I must say the cars are very safe in the moment, but they're never 100% safe, because you just cannot make it happen. But we were lucky he got out of the car and you move on. But this can happen and you need to be big enough. It's the same, like I see it like this, as an astronaut which goes up to the space. He knows, maybe I don't come back. If he worries about it, do not go. Do not do it, You need to be able to deal with it. And in the end, it's, somebody could say now, but you don't risk your life, somebody else risks their life. Yeah, but it was the decision of the person to do it. I didn't force him, We agreed together, we do something we want to do, You risk the life. Obviously, we make sure that the risk is as small as possible, almost non-existing. That is what I need to do. And as long as we did that one, you never know what can happen in life. In any job, something like this can happen, that one of your collaborators has got an accident. If you have got a company which is running haulage, trucks, a driver can have an accident. It's not your fault, but it can happen. Just be prepared for it and, say, when it happens, I hope it doesn't, I will deal with it.
Having been in motorsports for 40 years now, I say, what do you think motorsport or your sport, I always ask them to basketball or tennis, but what teaches motorsports for life?
What teaches motorsports for life? I don't know what it teaches for life. I think in general sport, what teaches for life, it's something... Well, you got me with a good question there, but I don't have a proper answer for it, because what teaches for life? Maybe nothing. Maybe it doesn't teach anything for life, But again, you could say it teaches, people which like it, they can do it, is something you can enjoy yourself with it. But in general, what does it give to society? Entertainment. I think that's what it gives. But does it really teach anything? I mean, technology, you advance technology in F1, road safety, a lot of things, but does it really teach? Could they be possible without motorsport? Maybe yes, but for sure they help. Motorsport helps to develop these technologies. That's maybe the most important thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how safe the cars are. You said it earlier. I think motorsport, there are so many components that are taken to normal cars as well, right? So that's also something I find very fascinating. And Günther, I think your career is very unique, but still you've proven over 40 years now that you always find a good way forward. And there's a lot of younger people also listening to this that want to be in sports, but also in business and just want to live their passion. Yeah. And I think the problem is when you're young Günther Steiner, you cannot say, I'm going as a mechanic in World Rally and I'm going to be team owner in Formula One and MotoGP. So there's a gap between that. And you, of course, you didn't have that vision. But how do you tell people that want to achieve something, but are always in between this, okay, I take the safe route because maybe your parents would have liked you more to be a teacher versus being a mechanic and it's a very rough environment and you probably didn't earn much money. What do you recommend to people that actually would like to follow their passion but don't dare to do it?
It's very different. If you have got a passion, obviously it doesn't come risk-free. For me, it was always, you take a risk, but it's calculated. If it doesn't work out, I need to make sure I fall on my feet. I'm not, that I can do a job and I can go back to something. But it's again, you need to believe in yourself. That is the first thing you need to do. And you do something. Don't be arrogant about it,
Coming back to the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're back to the beginning. Don't be arrogant, but be confident that you can do it. If it is your passion, you will be good at it. And that's what I always say. If I do something I don't like to do, I'm not good at it. Because I have no interest in it. So how should I be good? It's almost too simplistic to take that one on. But that's what I always think is like, I need to like to do something to be good, and that is what you always should do. And you cannot plan for everything, and there will be always hurdles in your way. But as long as you always do your best, at some stage you will be successful, and always keep in mind, there's always somebody better out you. You will never be the best, because that is as well being realistic, But as long as you tried your best and you can look in the mirror and say, I did my best, it didn't work out, but, I'm going to do it again, that gives you confidence.
Last but not least, we are an entrepreneurship podcast. And Günther, do we need more entrepreneurship in sports, or how do you compare entrepreneurship and sports and being successful in sports?
I don't know if we need more, but I think there's a lot of good entrepreneurs, and sport has been discovered for the entrepreneurs, I would say, in the last 10 to 20 years. Before sport was more like the club, the Verein, was more like something you enjoy to do. And since 10, 20 years, it has become a business, because it is a good business as long as you need to play it ethical, the business, not overdo it. And I think it can be a good business as well, but it can be entertainment. It gives a lot to people, and a good company, you're a good company only if you give to people what they want. Otherwise, you're not on the market. So if you're in the sports entrepreneur, you need to give people what they want, which is entertainment.
Günther, thank you so much. I'm really excited to see how everything works out with MotoGP, your new baby, and with all your company as well, and everything, and you jetting around the world. So thank you so much for taking the time. It's really, really insightful, and much appreciated. And thank you so much.
No, thank you very much for having me. It was enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you. Vielen Dank fürs Zuhören. Bei Fragen, Kritik, Anregungen oder sonstigen Punkten schreibt uns doch in die Kommentare oder kontaktiert uns direkt. Wir freuen uns wirklich über jegliches Feedback. Bitte vergesst nicht, uns zu abonnieren, uns zu bewerten und checkt auch unsere Kanäle auf Instagram, TikTok, YouTube und LinkedIn aus. Zu guter Letzt einen großen Dank an das Producer-Team um Moritz Gessel, Pierre Fornell, Benjamin Kapell und Lukas Sorrentino. Bleibt gesund und bis zur nächsten Folge.